If you're a person who gravitates to horror and mystery and enjoys letting your imagination fill in the spaces where light can't reach, then you may be curious about the game Little Nightmares 2. We've played through this game, and don't worry, we've got you covered. You're watching The Takeaway, and we are PS This Is Awesome. Little Nightmares 2 released on February 11th, 2021, and was developed by PSTIA Studios and published by Bandai Namco. We played Little Nightmares 2 on our PlayStation 5, but the game we played was the PlayStation 4 version. This game is a platforming game that throws some relatively simple problems at the player. Most of these problems can be solved easily by grabbing items and dragging them in order to platform over various obstacles. The game at times will throw a more confounding puzzle with the player where the answers aren't as obvious. Generally speaking, I enjoyed the puzzle portions of this game. They never felt too difficult, but also weren't too easy. My only complaint with the puzzles is that you almost have to fail some of them in order to understand how to succeed at them. And those were the puzzles which usually had me running and jumping in an attempt to escape or hide from enemies. Compared to the first Little Nightmares game, this game seemed to have a much more sprawling environment. I didn't get a sense of repetition as much with Little Nightmares 2 as I did with the original. The game has you traveling to creepy schoolhouses, to abandoned psychiatric wards, to strange places where everybody is consumed by the flicker of their televisions, all the way to ziplining between rooftops on coat hangers and rooms with portals. Some say that Little Nightmares 2 is beautifully realized, and I'd have to agree with them, at least when it comes to the art direction. The game just looks beautiful, and has achieved a vibe akin to a Tim Burton film. The camera seems to pan away and zoom in at all the right moments. Music of this game is fittingly haunting as well. There's always an open, looming sound droning in the background, while doors creak and other environmental noises occur. It does a great job of establishing setting. Each section of the game feels like its own contained level, which usually ends in, for lack of a better way to explain it, a boss battle. The bosses were most likely my favorite part of the game. Their omnipresence in the world always kept me on my toes and had my skin crawling a little bit. The big difference between Little Nightmares 2 and the original title is that on this journey you are accompanied by an AI-controlled character known as Six, who was the main protagonist from the first game. Six will help you in your efforts to open doors as well as assist you in platforming. At times Six even hops in with defeating enemies. I felt a pretty strong connection to the budding relationship between both the character I controlled, Mono, and Six. The game does a good job of telling a narrative of friendship and companionship without having any spoken words or written text. This is a game that relies heavily on setting, feeling, and vibe. I did take issue with the way the game felt in regards to controlling and moving around in this beautiful world, though. Transitioning from a hanging position, going into a swinging motion, and leaping to platforms was always a roll of the dice. I felt like the developer could have had way tighter controls. It's clear they put their time into the art direction and the delivery rather than tightening up the controls from the first Little Nightmares. Another instance of where the controls were absolutely lost on me was in the ward, where you're forced to use your flashlight to train on the enemy dolls so that they don't come to life. It just felt off. Overall, I think that Little Nightmares 2 is a fantastic show of art direction and a very well realized creepy platformer. The game was about 5 hours long, give or take, and despite having some hidden collectibles which can be found, and possibly triggering an alternate secret ending, there isn't much replayability. This is the type of game that's much more interesting to observe than actually play, as the controls, like I said before, seem a little off, and the respawn animations didn't seem to respect my time, especially for as often as I found myself being killed. The game does a great job at establishing amazing visuals and presents itself as a memorable, creepy game. However, like I said before, I'd have been just as happy watching this game as opposed to playing it. Thanks again for watching this episode of The Takeaway. My name is Fred Oakman, and I co-host a podcast called PS This Is Awesome. We have new episodes every Monday. Please subscribe to this channel and leave a comment below. And if you feel so inclined, we'd be very grateful if you'd share our podcast with your friends and other gaming communities. Until next time, adios.